Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Control Solid Lead podcast, or CSD Cast for short. This is a podcast about all things fun and gaming. That's right, we talk about video games, tabletop, board games, D&D, and game music and audio. I'm your host, Hunter Brattoli, and thank you for joining us on another episode. So this podcast is recorded in video format, posted on our YouTube channel, which you can see right here if you're looking at it. Along with our other amazing planned video content, with the audio version of the show that you might be hearing right now, airs every Tuesday, usually. We had a little bit of a delay this week, so today is in fact Wednesday, but normally on Tuesday, and is out on all major podcast streaming platforms. And hey, if you want to leave a comment or review on iTunes, it'll be fully appreciated. Make sure to join our follow list on our website, csdcast.com, so that you don't miss most of our content, including all of our socials. At CSDcast is the usual handle for these accounts: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you'd like to submit a question to be answered on our podcast, submit it to email at csdcast.com. We will read it and answer it the best we can. Last but not least, our Patreon account is live, which is a constant work in progress and will be packed full of exclusive content for you guys. So if you feel so inclined, consider joining one of our fantastic membership tiers. Let's get right into the episode. Again, today is March 1st, Wednesday. And boy, the last episode I talked about that there was this giant storm coming through or about to come in, and man, did it come through. It has been absolutely nuts. Rain, sideways, lots of wind, tons of snow in LA. It snowed in LA multiple days. It doesn't make sense. The LA River is like fully raging. It's like Grand Rapids in there. It's nuts. This weather has just blown my mind. Today it looks like there's going to be another big chunk of that storm rolling on through. So it's not over yet, folks. We gotta buckle in and get ready for some more rain. It actually rained last night too, in my area. So it's kind of moving around, more intense in some areas and just for shorter periods of time, and then kind of moves on through to other areas where it wreaks havoc. So hopefully it's on its last legs here, because we're now in March, and this crazy winter storm doesn't feel correct for March in LA. So we'll see what happens. So hopefully everything is going well for everybody else. And let's get into the next part, which is This Week Review. Okay, this part of the podcast is play on words. Week meaning this week, as in W-E-E-K, but weak also as in not strong, because we are not professionals, and it's fun to kind of do these silly short reviews. This gives some insight on some of the games that we're playing. So this week review pick is the game Hi-Fi Rush. That's right. This is a fun rhythm and platforming game with some unique and cool features, so let's get into it. So as a musician and composer myself, I definitely appreciate the just very well put together rhythm games, as you can imagine. This one, Hi-Fi Rush, is just beyond anything I've seen. I mean, the art style is very aesthetically pleasing, vivid and bright colors. I mean, the game also just feels good. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about why that is in an upcoming segment, so stay tuned for that. This is more than moderately important when playing a game for any period of time, the feel of a game. If something just feels off about it, it's not a very engaging experience. You might feel, I don't know, there's just something you can't quite explain, but it's just taking you out of the game for whatever reason. It just doesn't feel good to play, or something doesn't feel good to look at. There's something that's bugging you about it. So surprisingly, in this game, the fact that it is a rhythm game and there's constantly music playing, it doesn't get monotonous. The music just feels fresh the whole time, which is pretty nice. I haven't made it that far into the game yet. I actually defeated the first boss and did end up making it to the second boss, but I died because it's actually pretty hard. I keep forgetting sort of that it's a rhythm game. You know, it's a 3D brawler game, so you kind of want to do that button mashing thing where you just kind of go in and kill stuff, but you know, everything is to a beat. So if you don't attack at the right time, it's not as effective. But the game does kind of spell it out for you. And again, in an upcoming segment, I'll talk a little bit more about why that is and how they achieved that. But I think this game is going to continue to surprise me as I carry on. I'm very much looking forward to playing more. So there'll be some further updates on that one. In fact, these week reviews are typically up on our website, csdcast.com, on our review page. So we might pop this one in there. So go ahead and check that out. All right. So again, like I said, it's pretty weak, pretty short. There's nothing a whole lot to these reviews. So take it as you like. But I think it's just fun to talk about these really quickly. So let's get into the next part, which is called Spelunking the Catacombs. Okay. So this segment is all about the world of D&D, or Dungeons & Dragons, if you're unsure of the acronym abbreviation. So this one, you know, there hasn't been a whole lot coming out. Last week we talked about that new campaign book, The Keys of something. Dang it. I already forgot what it is. Hold on. Let me look that up for you. It was the... Keys from the Golden Vault. So that is a new campaign that came out last week. Don't have anything else like that, but there is a fun thing that I backed on Kickstarter not too long ago that I did finally receive a couple weeks ago. And it's kind of a silly and, you know, downright dirty entry, honestly, for this week. So this campaign is called Lewd Dungeon Adventures. And yes, the word lewd is there on purpose. The creator wrote, you know, this full campaign using the rule set for D&D 5e, but with a sexy twist. So it's it's kind of great for couples that are looking to spice things up. Or, you know, if you want to involve more people and friends, you can turn it into a drinking game. It has that option built in as well. So you don't have to do the sexy stuff. You can turn it into... So basically, the way this works is that it's... the GM is like the god. And it literally states that in the game, or in the campaign book. So you are the game god, or the god of your players, and they have to please you, and take that any way you want, and what that means. But yes, whatever you're thinking of is probably a punishment in the book. So the players have to do things to their god or GM until everyone is satisfied, and then you move on. So yeah, that might be fun for couples looking to that are really into D&D and want to do something a little kinky. But yes, like I said earlier, it can be a drinking game instead. So yes, the GM is the god, but now instead of doing dirty things with them, you can just turn that into, oh, well, this happened to you, so now you have to take 2 shots or something like that. Or now you have to play a game of beer pong or something like that. So it's pretty versatile, pretty fun. They look like they're just like one shots. No pun intended with alcohol. These are one-shot campaigns. You can do it in a few hours. But looking forward to trying that out in either capacity. It should be fun either way. So that's all I have for the world of D&D. Again, that was Lewd, Lewd, Dungeon Adventures. I think it might be able to be purchased eventually, because it was Kickstarter exclusive, but it's probably going to be out for the masses. And now, speaking of Kickstarter, I actually have some picks today for our segment, Looking Out for the Little Guy. Okay, so the thing we like to do on the show is provide some Kickstarter project spotlights. So every week we try to pick a campaign or two that resonates with us in some way and showcase it so that hopefully it can reach a wider audience. So today's project spotlights they're both tabletop board games. The first one is called Quantum Shock. And if anyone is familiar with the game Pandemonium, which is kind of like a horror survival game, the creators of that, the Game Forger, brought this new game, Quantum Shock, which is a new sci-fi horror survival game. And it can be played solo or up to 4 players. So it has autonomous mode or whatever you want to call it, where you can do a solo campaign if you felt so inclined. The project has not yet launched, so there isn't a whole lot to speak about in terms of its campaign on Kickstarter, but it does currently have 3,149 followers. So this project got some buzz, it looks like, and it's seems to be an interesting premise to us. So maybe this sci-fi horror survival board game sounds like an interesting premise to you as well. Hence why it's in one of our picks for the week. The second pick for the week is another board game called Autumn Grove Manor, and that's autumn like the season, like fall. This is a cooperative board game for 2 to 6 players. Basically, you're a team of ghost hunters, and you need to rid the manor of ghosts and find gems and destroy a demon. So this is another project that's not yet launched and is kind of keeping with this horror theme we have going this week. But I set an alert for both of these to let me know when they go live on Kickstarter. So be sure to follow our website again, csdcast.com, on our Project Spotlights page. And more details will be put on that regarding both of these picks, and also every week. So if we have any week that we do these, they will always go up on that Project Spotlights page on the website. Okay, so short and sweet today. That's all we have for the Looking Out for the Little Guy. So moving right along into the next segment, which is game music and audio. All right, so this part of the show is where I put my degree in film, TV, and video game composition to some good use. So I wanted to add a segment where we could talk about game music and audio and sound design. So this is it. I also try to tie it in with the game in this week review segment. So today is going to be all about Hi-Fi Rush. That's right. And for this game, I actually read up a little bit about the music and sound design ideas, that went into fleshing out the style for Hi-Fi Rush. So the director of the game, John Johannes, he wanted to go the route of accessibility. So the big word in basically all of his interviews and all the documentation I could find was the word accessibility. Because the main drawback of rhythm games usually is that they're geared towards, people who lean on the side of being musically inclined, right? So the director wanted to bridge that gap and, allow anyone to hit their attacks on the beat, or not really be confused where the beat is. He attributed some of the shortcomings with rhythm games in rotation today to being like a music first approach. So yeah, so we have great music that's written. It could be a little bit too wild and out there and not really friendly to the player. So one game that he attributed this problem to was actually Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's a good rhythm game, but it seems a little it's just not as approachable as he made Hi-Fi Rush. So he attempted to basically the pitch to Bethesda for this was the fact that it is a 3D action brawler game. That is the main focus. That is the game's core. It's a 3D action brawler. And when you think of it that way, I mean, it is. Hence why I kind of felt while I was playing it that I needed to button mash and just kind of attack and kill everything. But again, to quote the director, Johannes, we didn't like the idea of you being very constricted by the music. We need you to feel the music is part of the game, and it's almost lifting you up and making you feel better. And we never really found that in a game, and I agree. Everything about the game is very like happy-go-lucky, if you will. Nothing feels bad. There's even if you die or fall off the platforms, you just kind of start again. You don't really like die, There's no like bad feelings or bad events that happen in the game that take you out of it or make you kind of be like, oh man, this is impossible, or I just can't do this anymore because it's driving me nuts, or it's too sad, or something like that. It's all very happy. Everything is it does make you feel better. I agree with that quote. And to make the game feel accessible like he wanted, he basically made sure that players would understand, quote, where the music was. And it's very obvious in this game. I mean, every moving part sways to the beat. So the environment moves, the platforms move, the enemies, the attacks, yourself when you're running, when you attack. I mean, everything is moving exactly to the beat. The game shows you where it is. So to give an example for those watching the YouTube, I mean, you can see like a pulse. So it'll have like, I don't know, steam coming out of pipes. And that'll come out on beats 1 and 3 or something. So you have like 1, 2, 3, 4. You have the steam going, tss, 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 something like that. Like it's everything is to the beat of the music. And the platforms, if you activate them and they are kind of shifting away from you and you have to wait for them to come back, something like that. The platforms even, they move and shift with the beat as well. So everything is about timing. But even if you don't still quite understand where the beat is, you can kind of create a beat at any time. So if that doesn't make sense, basically, let's say we'll clap. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can kind of feel this is a beat going on, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you maybe just get distracted for a second and just start hitting a button on your controller or keyboard, no matter where you press it, you can still kind of still attack and figure out where the next beat should go. X, 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 Y, X, Y, Y. It's everything is trying to tell you, look, this is where you should be attacking or dodging. So feel free to do that anywhere, anytime. It's going to be fun. Even if you miss, it's not really punishing you for it. And that's what's pretty cool about it. Again, the accessibility factor. Everyone should be able to enjoy this, regardless if you are musically inclined or not. And yeah, that's just kind of a great way to think about a game, especially when it's music driven. It shouldn't be difficult for someone outside of the musical realm to get in and play this because they think it looks cool and want to experience that. So that is the beauty of music and sound design, man. I tell you, it's hard to get better than that. Well, that's all I have for that one. Short and sweet today, let me tell you. We're just moving right along. So now we'll just, get into the closing section. All right. So at this point in the show, this is where we would read emails, comments, questions, concerns, all of that. But if you do have any emails or questions, concerns, thoughts, comments, theories, please send those in to email@csdcast.com. And at this segment, we will read those and comment on them as we see necessary or fit. It's not necessary. It's for fun. So leave a comment or don't. Email or don't. But if you do, just know that it'll be read on here, and we'll try to answer your questions the best we can. With all that being said, thank you everyone for listening and watching the Ctrl-Alt-Delete podcast. I have been your host, Tony Brattoli. Make sure again to follow us on our socials at CSDcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date for more current and future content. Also check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/CSDcast. Becoming a member grants you access to our community Discord server and unlocks some special content just for you. There's some public content on there as well, but there are definite membership benefits. And we hope to see you again in the next episode. Thank you for listening and watching.